Quickly, we got to go really quickly to James. He's got something really exciting. So we'll be back with you in a little bit.
Hello everybody. Look, we've just spotted, or I didn't spot, Andrew spotted those honey badgers. I'm just going to be quiet, they don't like my voice. Isn't that spectacular? A mother and her pup it looks like. And they've got something in their mouths. You know what they're eating? Come on, come back. Oh, that's beautiful. Isn't that wonderful? Look at the size of the claws. Andrew, can you get them?
Fully zoomed.
The little baby. Trying to stay as low to the ground as possible, the little one is. The honey badger is not scared of much, so they've obviously assessed that we're not too much of a threat, so now they're coming a bit closer. They definitely had found something in the sand there that they were eating. Oh, that's wonderful. As we spotted them, Andrew said, this beats a herd of elephants. And I suppose it does, because we so rarely see them. The little one is still crouching to the ground. Look at that trot. Tail up. And they'll produce a very foul, skunk-like smell if they are threatened. Sorry, Andrew, I don't think if I move forward, it's not going to get you any better picture, I'm afraid. Oh, that's just great. What a special thing to see. Incredibly powerful animal for the size. Very loose skin, so that when something like a lion takes hold of them or tries to take hold of them, they basically just get a handful of skin, like you would with a dog, like a staffy or or the scruff of a cat's neck. But they're like that all the way around. There's a francolin there that has either not seen them or is not particularly worried about them. Tremendous claws. Yeah, I think they've pretty much left us now. Great spot, Andrew. I was waffling away about birds' tails when Andrew spotted them. William, I believe you have called this the Holy Grail of sightings. Thank you for that. I tend to agree with you today, especially. Spectacular. Called a honey badger apparently because they do like to eat honey, and they do like to eat the larvae of bees. And the big story, of course, is that of the honey badger and the honey guide, which is a bird that comes along and will sit above you and chirp. Its normal call, or the greater honey guide, which is the most common one here, is a call that goes Victor, Victor, Victor. But when it wants you to follow it, and when it goes and it finds an animal like that, it sits above them and churs. Andrew says its head is over there. So while I continue to waffle, it's just behind that log there in the distance. That movement you can see in the grass there is the honey badger. They might come back. I'm seriously tempted to cut a piece off Andrew and just put it there and see if it doesn't tempt them to come out from hiding. Anyway, that bird will then lead the badger. That churring call is basically saying, follow me, follow me. And the bird will then follow the badger. The badger will then follow the bird, to a beehive. There he is looking up over the top. And once the beehive has been found, the badger will use those tremendous claws to tear open whatever piece of wood and that it happens to be in, exposing the bees. And the badger, because of its skin, is totally immune to the bees' stings, and it will eat on the honeycomb, and the bird's reward is to eat on the bee larvae. That's what they like to eat. And that's why it's called a honey badger. But they'll eat anything. I mean, they'll eat any kind of meat. They're definitely a carnivore. They'll probably eat the odd bit of fruit, but they'll eat termites and mice and ants and squirrels and a bit of carrion here and there, lizards and snakes. They'll definitely eat snakes. And anything they can get their teeth or claws into. Marvelous. And very unusual to see them in the day. I mean, I've seen them a few times at night, but mainly very seldom during the day. So I'm afraid you can just see them through there. I'm afraid if I drove in there, they'd run away very fast. So we can't really get any closer. It'd be nice to move that tree out of the way, but if I went in on foot, they'd definitely run away. Deborah in Kentucky and Marianne in Boston and various other others in the Twitterverse. Deborah, I think you said you've been watching the show for 9 years and have never seen a badger before. Well, I'm so glad that situation has been remedied by our faithful cameraman, Mr. Andrew, who's now quivering with excitement instead of cold. Isn't that wonderful as it sticks its head up through there? He's just checking, she's just checking to make sure we're not causing any trouble. I think Marianne in Boston, you said they look a bit like skunks. They do look a bit like American skunks, but they don't come from the same family as far as I'm aware. No, in fact they do. They're from a family, well they come, it's the same suborder they call the Caniformia, or the dogs, and this is the family that they come from is called the Mustelid or Mustelidae, and that's the badgers and our weasels and the striped polecat. Now, striped polecat is basically our form of a skunk, and your skunk in North America comes from a family called the Mephitidae. Mephitidae. We don't get any of those here, but similar same order, same suborder. Hello, Rick and Susie. You ask a lovely question. You're sitting in Hawaii. Lord knows what time it is there at this time of the day. I'm not sure if you're in tomorrow or still in yesterday. But welcome to it, and we're very happy to have you along. And lovely question. I think I know exactly where it comes from. There's a wonderful documentary about badgers where a badger gets bitten by, I think it's a snouted cobra. It may even be an Egyptian cobra, and or a puff adder. Anyway, one of those snakes, and the badger seems to weaken and then collapses and sort of goes into a coma, and after, I'm not sure how long it is, I think it's about 3 or 4 or 5 hours, it wakes up, shakes its head, gets up and trots off, exactly like you just saw her trot off there. So somehow the body of that badger processes this tremendously awful venom. I think it must have been a cobra, because I think it was neurotoxic venom. And badger gets up and walks off. So yes, Rick and Susie, that you are remembering correctly. That it did happen in that documentary, and I'm pretty sure that their bodies are just able to process the proteins that are in those venoms that we certainly couldn't. Curious one, you have a good question. Do honey badgers den? The answer is yes, they do. They will make a den, just like so many of the other animals out here, in a termite mound, smaller hole than the hyenas or wild dogs will use, obviously. And in fact, I suspect that this female and her pup were seen going into, there was a den just around here, not too long ago, that I've checked out a few times and not seen anything there. And I suspect that's where she and this pup were. I think at this age, though, probably out of the den, and wouldn't be. They might go back to it to rest, but otherwise they'll find some thick bush to hide in. Still there, Andrew?
Still there.
I think Andrew might have a better view than the rest of us.
I wonder if you can do that call again.
Which call?
The honey guide.
You think he came out?
I saw his head pop up. Maybe.
So we're just doing the honey guide call there. Andrew says he reckons that's what made her stick her head up. I'm not convinced myself. We haven't managed to induce her to do it. And we have a question from Dia in Miami, Florida. Thank you for your question. You want to know, do they have a family unit like a human being, or is it the female that does all the raising of the babies? There are no animals out here that have a family unit like the human being, really. And I'm afraid the onus of raising the young falls entirely on the mother, as you saw it there. I'm trying to see if we can't draw him out with some sort of alarm call. I'll try a dwarf mongoose. Well, not quite a dwarf mongoose. I'll make a sort of generic mongoosey type call. Definitely lifting her head now. There we go. Not sure how long I can keep my tongue doing that. Look at the little one with its tail up in the air. Well, we got a bit of a view there. I don't know that she's going to come any closer. Andrew, should we try and just go a little bit up the hill here? We might get a view down through there. In fact, I'm not going to move until you've lost her completely. I think it might be now. Liz in Wisconsin, are they related to wolverines? And now the wolverine, as far as I understand it, is probably related. I think it's from the same family. I have an excellent little book with me that I will check in right now for you. Certainly the same sub-order as we were looking at there. And I'm going to stop here and see if we can't spot her through there. Liz, let me get back to you immediately. I see no reference to the wolverine here, I'm afraid.
Oh, here they come.
Here they come. So I'll have to get back to you on that. Liz, sorry, this car's about to disappear down the road. Sorry about that, Andrew.
Okay.
Hello, Laura. You want to know if I've ever seen a honey badger take on a lion? No, I haven't, but I've definitely heard of it happening, and I know people who have seen them. Oh, look at that! That's just spectacular. I've heard of them not taking on a lion, but certainly defending themselves successfully against a lion attack because of those vicious claws that they've got. And they're incredibly strong for their height. They do get killed every so often by lions, but most other animals other than lions will avoid them. I've never seen it personally, though. Disappearing into the undergrowth again. Liz, I will get back to you on your wolverine question. No doubt the Twitterverse will be able to find out immediately, but I don't see a reference to a wolverine here. I suspect it's part of the suborder Caniformia, or the dogs.
Oh, they're going to cross the road up there.
Are they going to cross it? Really?
Yeah.
And we can still see them, so I'm going to go forward quite quickly. Spotted a road somehow. Here it is. It's the advantage of height, I suppose. Now, we don't want to go too fast because then we'll frighten them. Andrew, if you see them, will you shout?
Yeah.
Well, don't shout, just indicate with great enthusiasm. Some big lion tracks on this road.
Yeah, I got them. You
got them?
Yeah.
Forward, back?
A little bit back.
Oh, there they are. They're spotted. They win.
That's good.
Andrew, yet again, is on fire. You know what it is, of course, that I don't let him smoke on the vehicle, so his brain functions perfectly. Oh, that's wonderful. Hello everybody, we've only got 2 minutes left in theory, so for those of you who have to go and get on with your lives, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a wonderful morning, especially this latterly. Now we're going to stay with these honey badgers if you still have the time, so those of you who have to leave, I'm sorry, we'll see you later this afternoon. Thank you for your contributions and your questions and everything else like that, and especially as we look at this kind of benchmark sighting for WildEarth, our first honey badger sighting. Kadria, a special shout out to you who's been with us for 9 years from the very beginning. I mean, that is astonishing. Thank you for your support and for your continued contributions. So for those of you who have to go, bye-bye and have a marvelous night, morning, day, evening, wherever it is you might be. Thank you for watching. And we're going to try and stay with them for a little bit longer for those who can, and then we'll head off. I don't think that they're going to be particularly confiding. Andrew, shall we go back a bit?
Yeah, I've lost them now.
We do seem to have lost them. I'm just going to go back a little bit. They win. I'm looking behind me so I can't see them. I'm not going to drive off-road because the crunching will definitely make them run away. They've disappeared. They may be back in the drainage line. We'll have a quick look there. It might be time. No, everybody, I'm afraid I think that's it. But what a spectacular sighting that was. So we'll make our way slowly out of here. So, Ramey, you ask, are we going to have one more question on the hyena, on the honey badgers? You want to know, would a honey badger ever be killed by a hyena? Yeah, possibly, it's possible. I mean, a hyena is a pretty brave thing, pretty strong, pretty big, pretty powerful. But if it was a group of hyenas, absolutely certainly it would be a threat. But, you know, a honey badger is not exactly a delicious meal for anything. So it's quite a dangerous meal. It's a bit like a baboon to a leopard. Baboons are apparently quite tasty for leopards, but it's a real risk to try and catch them because of their teeth and their size. And it's a bit like that with the honey badger and the hyenas. And Julie in California, you want to know why they're out in the day. I suspect they were out in the cool morning, and all that happened was that the sun came up and it became light, and they just kept finding little bits and pieces to eat. So when we found them, or when Andrew spotted them, as you saw, the female was eating something, and I'm sure the baby obviously doesn't have a choice whether it can go to bed or not. But basically, they will choose to move in the crepuscularly or into the night time. But if there's food around during the day and they happen to be moving during the morning and they find food, well, then they'll be out. And especially if they don't feel threatened. I think the big male lion track we saw up there was probably from yesterday. So, everybody, that's it. Thank you for staying with us, especially if you ran over time with us. We're going to head off to have breakfast. Andrew's about to expire from a lack of food and cold. He's used a lot of food in the generation of heat in his body today. I'm feeling fairly peckish myself after watching those badgers having an eat. So we're going to head off. Thank you again for all your contributions and questions. Especially love the discussion on bird tails. I shall go and do some further research there, and we'll also try and find out if the honey badger is related to the wolverine. Have a marvelous day, evening, morning, whatever part of the day you happen to find yourself, and we will see you a little bit later this afternoon.